Here she is, a strong woman, moving forward without hesitation, with eyes full of determination and a steadfast heart. There is no hand to hold or shoulder by her side, yet she walks with unwavering confidence. The world watches her, eyes filled with curiosity, whispers spreading like ripples. Where is her husband? Who is she looking for? Why is she alone? They create countless assumptions, believing that solitude must signify an unfinished story, an unhealed wound, or some loss. But I want to ask a different question, one that perhaps not many have considered. Since when has the presence of a man measured a woman's worth? Since when has walking alone been equated with misfortune? In the eyes of society, a woman is only truly complete when she has a family and a husband by her side. But in the eyes of the Creator, she is defined not by who stands beside her, but by the purpose He has placed in her heart. And today, I want to speak to all the women walking this journey of life alone. You are not forgotten, not abandoned, and certainly not lacking. If the world insists that you need a man to complete your life, remember that true wholeness is not found in a marriage certificate, but in your relationship with Christ. He alone is your source of strength, your unwavering support, the one who created you with a special purpose, one that does not depend on anyone else. So, if you find yourself walking alone today, do not fear, do not doubt yourself. Hold your head high, because it may be in this solitude that you discover the greatest path of your life. A journey not meant to fill a void with someone else's presence, but to realize that you, on your own, are a creation of immense worth, complete in the mission you were destined for. Some women walk alone because they have lost their beloved life partners, leaving behind cherished memories and deep sorrow in their hearts. Some have never married, not because they lack worth or are undeserving of love, but because traditional definitions of happiness do not bind their journey. Some have bravely walked away from toxic relationships, from wounds of abuse, rejection, or even betrayal, not because they are weak, but because they are strong enough to choose the path of freedom and peace for themselves. And there are those who, with unwavering faith, walk not in search of a companion, but in pursuit of a higher calling, a mission that transcends all earthly relationships. The Bible tells the stories of many women who once walked alone, yet were never forgotten. Abigail, an ordinary Jewish girl, stepped into a grand palace without anyone to protect her, yet she became a queen who saved an entire nation. Ruth, a widow, left her homeland and journeyed through unfamiliar fields, belonging to no one there. Yet she found grace, was restored, and became a vital part of God's divine plan. Mary, a young maiden, carried the Savior within her, enduring doubts, whispers, and the judgmental eyes of the world. Yet she obeyed, and through her, salvation came to humanity. So if you feel alone on your journey today, do not let the whispers of the world make you falter. God does not need human validation to write your story. You may think no one sees you, but God sees you. You may feel your voice is unheard, but God listens. You may doubt your worth, but God calls you by the most cherished name, His beloved daughter. Your journey may not look like anyone else's, and your path may not fit the mold that society expects. But be assured of this: God never leads a woman to a place without meaning. He never places you on a journey without purpose. So walk with courage, without fear, in faith, because the one who walks with you is greater than anyone who could ever walk beside you in this world. And if someone looks at you and asks, "Why is she walking alone?" smile with unwavering faith and reply, "I am not walking alone. God walks with me." There is a hidden strength in walking alone, a strength not everyone can understand. The world often views solitude with pity, assuming that a woman without a husband is incomplete, as if she is merely waiting for someone to fill a missing space in her life. But have we ever stopped to ask, is it in solitude that a woman truly discovers herself? Is it when no one else is beside her that she finally hears the deepest voice within her soul and understands who she is, what she wants, and what she was born to do? Solitude is not a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is where strength is refined, a fire that tests and forges an unshakable spirit. When a woman walks alone, she is not merely surviving the days without someone by her side. She is learning to stand tall and trust herself without the validation of others. She refuses to let societal expectations define her worth or measure her value based solely on the presence of a man. A woman who walks alone is not someone to be pitied or abandoned. On the contrary, she has found the strength to live without dependence, to freely choose her path, without allowing society's expectations to dim her resolve. She is not a missing piece waiting to be completed, because from the very beginning, she was whole. And it is in this solitary journey that she finds freedom, discovers her voice, and, most importantly, uncovers the true meaning of her life. The world teaches that a person's existence is only validated when someone walks beside them, that true love must come from the embrace of another, and that without a life partner to share the journey, something essential must be missing. These beliefs have been repeated for generations, ingrained deeply in the minds of many, making them fear solitude as if it were a sign of incompleteness or deficiency. But is this truly the absolute truth? History and the Bible tell us a different story, of great women who walked alone, not because they were unworthy of love, but because they were set apart for a higher purpose. They did not allow the world's judgments to define their worth, nor did they let the scrutiny of others blur the path they were destined to walk. A woman who walks alone is not unlucky or deserving of pity. On the contrary, she is a warrior who has fought battles no one else could fight for her. She has endured long, silent nights with no one to comfort or console her, where she had to face her soul, listen to the deepest voice within, and search for life's true purpose. She has weathered the storms of life without a hand to shield her or a shoulder to lean on. But instead of collapsing in despair, she chose to rise. Each challenge did not weaken her. Rather, it shaped her into someone stronger, a woman unyielding to adversity. Her resilience is not a coincidence, but the result of years of growth through hardship. She does not wait for someone to come and save her, because she understands that she alone holds the power over her destiny. She does not seek validation from the world, because she knows her worth is not defined by the gaze of others, but by the strength of her heart and the unwavering will within her. So, if you find yourself walking alone today, do not let the world convince you that you are lacking or incomplete. Remember that the strongest women in history also walked alone, not because they were unworthy of love, but because they were called to something far greater than themselves. And if someone asks, "Why is she walking alone?" smile and answer, "Because I was born to walk a path that only I can walk." There is something profoundly sacred about a woman's journey when she walks alone. It is an ordinary path of self-discovery, growth, courage, and unwavering faith. In that journey, she does not merely exist. She comes to understand herself more deeply, the purpose God has set before her, and the inner strength that the world may never fully comprehend. Walking alone, she is no longer swept away by society's expectations and pressures. She begins to realize that her prayers hold more power than she ever imagined, that her words can bring healing, and that her own hands can create, build, and transform the world around her. She learns to rely on herself, not because she rejects help, but because she understands that true strength does not come from dependence on others and complete trust in God. The world may see her as lonely, as someone missing something, but the truth is, she has never truly been alone. A divine presence is walking beside her every step she takes and every decision she makes. When people ask, "Why does she walk alone?" they do not realize that she is walking in sacred guidance, in a plan designed long before she was born, on a journey that requires no validation from anyone except the one who created her. It takes courage to walk in God's purpose, especially when that path does not align with what others expect. It takes faith to understand that solitude is not abandonment, but sometimes it is a season God sets apart to equip and prepare her for something greater. It takes strength to accept a calling others may not understand, and perhaps never will. But a woman who walks in divine purpose does not need the applause or approval of the world. She only needs confirmation from the one who ordained her steps. Human standards change with time. What society expects today may be entirely different tomorrow, but God's purpose is eternal and unchanging. And a woman who dares to place her trust in Him, who dares to follow His calling no matter what, will always find herself exactly where she is meant to be. Not too early, not too late, never lost. There will be moments when the road ahead seems silent. No hand beside her to hold, no voice to reassure her, no familiar presence to share in her thoughts. But those may be the most sacred moments of all, because in that stillness, she will hear God's voice more clearly, feel His presence more deeply, and understand beyond any doubt that she is not truly alone. He is there, always. The world has planted an invisible fear in people's hearts, the fear that walking alone equates to failure, that a woman without a husband is incomplete, and that solitude must be avoided at all costs. But what if all of that is merely an illusion? What if solitude is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to inner strength? What if walking alone is not a punishment, but a sacred calling? It takes courage to stand firm in a world that teaches a woman's worth is measured by the presence of a relationship. It takes faith to remain unshaken in the face of expectations that she should compromise, settle down, and choose the easier, less challenging path. But the greatest women in history were not those who followed the crowd. They were the ones who dared to walk alone, not because they were abandoned, but because they were called to something greater. Think of the woman brave enough to leave a relationship that no longer honored her, choosing peace over convenience. Think of the woman who pursues her dreams, even when no one understands her path. Think of the woman who refuses to lower her standards, even when the world tells her she is asking for too much. These women are not weak. They are warriors. There is a reason why the road to great purpose is often a lonely one. God does not call those who fear emptiness. He calls those strong enough to walk by faith, not comfort. Sometimes, He does not place a companion beside them, not because He wishes to isolate them, but because He knows that some of the most important lessons can only be learned in stillness. Some of the most sacred moments can only be felt in absolute silence. And some of the deepest truths about oneself can only be discovered when unshackled from the expectations of others. Walking alone is not isolation. It is preparation. In these moments, a woman learns to rely on the voice of God rather than the validation of people. In this season, she realizes her strength does not come from having someone by her side, but from the one who walks within her. The world may call her lonely, but she knows she has never been alone. She walks with purpose. She walks with strength. And above all, she walks with courage, knowing she is exactly where God has destined her to be. The world is quick to mistake stillness for emptiness, quick to assume that if a woman is without a husband, she must be lacking something. She must be missing protection and support. But what if the very space the world pities is the space where God dwells most? What if the path others see as lonely is the very path God has gone before her to prepare? Throughout history, God has always walked with those who belong to Him. He has led his people through deserts, valleys, and unfamiliar lands, always beside them, always guiding them, always making a way. And he still does today. He does not abandon those who walk in his calling. The world may see a woman walking alone and think she has been abandoned. But heaven looks at her and sees someone who has been chosen. Where others see the absence of a hand to hold, she knows she is being held by a hand far stronger than any on this earth. There is something sacred about a woman who walks in God's guidance, needing no direction except His. She does not rush into a relationship out of fear of loneliness, because she knows she has always been loved. A love transcending all boundaries, not from man, but from the one who created her. So walk with strength in your soul, with steady steps, and a resolute heart. Walk without letting fear hold you back, without letting the world's words make you question your path. Walk with unwavering faith, trusting that God has already prepared the way ahead, even when you cannot see the destination. Because the path you are on is not one of loneliness, as the world may think. It is a journey ordained, a journey of transformation, growth, and purpose. Every step is not a step into uncertainty, but a step closer to the destiny God has placed within you. Every challenge is not an obstacle, but an opportunity to strengthen your faith. Every moment of silence is not abandonment, but an invitation to hear His voice more clearly. And you, my beloved sister, even if the world does not understand and others do not see, God sees you. He has appointed this time, this path, and you for His divine plan. You are not late to your destiny. You are not lost. You are exactly where God wants you to be at the exact moment He has ordained. So lift your head high. Stand firm. Walk boldly without hesitation. Because you are not merely walking a path. You are walking into completeness. You are walking into purpose. You are walking into the divine calling that was meant for you. And on this path, you are never truly alone.